Hey Seth, what is going on in Somalia?
Hey Annie, Somalia has been stricken with famine for the past few years now, and it was officially declared a famine this year. The area has been hit with an awful drought, but some of it has been man-made. The famine is a result of a lack of governance and direct human actions which have deprived millions of people access to food. Somalia has not had a functioning central government for more than 20 years. Can you give me a bit of history about this crisis?
In Somalia, people face food insecurity at crisis and emergency levels. Between November 2016 and May 2017, 738,600 people have been suffering with drought in Somalia. Of these, 46,000 were displaced in May. Almost a third are from Sanaag region in eastern Somalia. The World Health Organization says this famine is the country's third in a quarter century and the second in the last decade. As early as 2008, Refugees International was calling Somalia the world's worst humanitarian crisis. Years of conflict have displaced some 2 million people, nearly a quarter of the population. Armed groups, including the militant group Al-Shabaab, restricted the international community's access to wide swaths of the country they controlled. Aid agencies have struggled to safely reach people inside the country to provide them with assistance. What are some effects of this famine on Somalis?
Starving Somali families are desperate for food. The families of Somalia were beaten back with gun butts as they battled for supplies one day after a famine affecting 3.7 million people. A diplomat from the African Union teared up as he watched soldiers fighting desperate residents in the capital city of Mogadishu. "I will knock on every door I can to help you," said Jerry Rawlings. Cereal production is down immensely from last year. Over 3 million people are food insecure, and most of these people live in rural environments. Also, over 860,000 people have been displaced due to the devastating drought striking the country. Massive livestock losses have been an effect of this famine and drought. The national grains in Somalia were the lowest that they have been in over a decade. This shows that their food supply is only shortening and not growing. If they continue to eat the grains without finding a way to continue producing grains, they will be completely out within the next 14 years. Finally, help foundations are just now starting to provide rural farming communities with money to buy food and water.
According to a new report from the Somali Food Security and Nutrition Analysis Unit, FSNAU, more than 3.1 million people across Somalia are now in urgent need of humanitarian assistance, and malnutrition is a major public health emergency threatening the lives of 1.2 million children. Rising prices for basic commodities are pushing the poorest families deeper into debt and jeopardizing their ability to meet their daily survival needs. In the past year alone, drought has displaced an estimated 948,000 people from their homes. The cases of famine are only becoming worse and will likely double in people within the next 8 years. What is being done to resolve this problem?
Sadly, not much is being done to help the Somali people. Only the top 1% of the population is getting any help, while the common Somali is suffering more and more each meal they can't afford. The UN just recently declared a famine here, which is years later than it should have. They have started a UN Children Fund to help reduce the malnourishment rate amongst Somali kids. What can we do to solve this problem?
With over half the population in need of humanitarian aid, there's a lot we can do. First, we can provide Somalis living in rural areas adequate food and water. Second, we need to work with the Somali government to end the international corruption and begin to provide assistance to its young, rapidly growing population. Finally, the United Nations needs to keep playing a larger and larger role in helping the Somali people.
As you can see, the famine in Somalia is a multi-layered crisis that could easily be solved if the world community would come together and help the people of Somalia.